10 insect bites you need to know how to recognize. Summer means hot weather, more time outdoors, and, unfortunately, insect bites. There are many insects whose bites threaten dangerous diseases, so it is very important to recognize an intruder as soon as possible. With so many options, it can seem very difficult to know exactly who, but don't worry. This video will help you figure it out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to ours to keep up to date with interesting news. Hornet. Stumbling upon a hornet's nest and being attacked by an entire swarm is a nightmare story for many people. There is nothing funny about such fears. When hornets feel threatened, they become very aggressive and sting harder than bees. There is redness and severe swelling in the area of the sting. Sometimes blisters may even appear. A hornet sting is much more painful than a wasp sting. Because the insect itself is larger, its venom is much more toxic and contains histamine and acetylcholine. If the victim of the sting feels cold in the extremities, the ears and lips, or breathing problems, a doctor should be consulted immediately. B. If you or someone close to you is stung by a bee, you need to act quickly. If the string breaks off and remains in the skin, remove it immediately. The sting area becomes red and swollen from the start. Victims also feel a burning sensation and sharp pain that turns into severe itching. If you are not allergic to bee venom, this is the end of the problem. If, however, the allergy is present, you may have difficulty breathing, and this is cause for alarm. A victim of a bee attack may also experience vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, dizziness, and a drop in blood pressure. In the United States alone, about 50 people die each year from severe anaphylactic reactions to bee stings. So if you are stung by a bee and feel bad, it is best to call an ambulance. 3. Wasp. If you are stung by a wasp, the symptoms will be almost the same as after a bee attack. There is redness and swelling at the site of the sting. The victim feels pain and burning, turning into a terrible itch. There may even be a bruise on the skin. However, a bee can only sting once, but wasps can attack again and again. Wash the sting site with soap and water to remove the venom from the wound. Keep the wound clean and dry. This will stop the infection from spreading. A cold compress will help reduce swelling and relieve pain. As with the bee sting, it is important to know if you are allergic to wasp venom. If you have an allergy, there is a risk of anaphylactic shock. 4. Ant. Most ants are not a threat to humans. The exception is the red fire ant. This bug doesn't just bite, it grabs into your skin to sink its sting into it. The fact is that it is one of the few species of stinging ants. On the stinging sites develop blisters that turn into scars. If you're allergic to the toxins in the ant's venom, there's a high risk of anaphylactic shock. On the other hand, the red forest ant first bites you and then sprays the wound with venom. This is quite unpleasant, but not comparable to the pain of a fire ant bite. An itchy pink spot appears around the wound, resembling a mosquito bite. To reduce the pain, you can smear the affected area with lemon juice. Another home remedy for spreading the infection is vinegar mixed with water. As for the swelling, you can reduce it by putting ice on the wound. 5. The mosquito. Warm summer nights, sitting around the campfire, sleeping with the windows open, it all sounds very romantic until you suddenly hear the familiar annoying squeak above your ear. Mosquito bites look like swollen red spots the size of small coins. They usually appear on exposed areas of the body. Mosquitoes look for places with the thinnest skin because it's easier to get to the blood vessels. When mosquitoes bite you, they inject their saliva into the wound. This saliva contains anticoagulants that irritate the blood and cause redness and itching and swelling of the skin. Want to know an interesting fact? It turns out that only female mosquitoes bite. The protein in our blood is needed for them to lay their eggs. 6. The tick. This is probably the worst souvenir you can bring home from a picnic or camping trip. Also, These uninvited guests often cling to our pets. Ticks can easily move from animals to humans. When a tick bites, blood rushes to the upper layers of the skin, making the area around the wound reddish. These little vampires dig into your skin and gradually swell up, feeding on your blood. Even worse, ticks can infect people with a number of potentially deadly diseases. The most famous of these is Lyme disease. If after removing the insect itself, the red spot on your skin doesn't go away, but only increases in size, see your doctor soon. 7. Flea. Flea bites can easily be mistaken for allergies or signs of mosquito attack. In these cases, there are red spots and swellings on the body. But unlike mosquito bites, flea bites hurt a lot at first and then itch mercilessly. Basically, these insects attack the legs and exclusively attack people who are asleep. One flea can bite several times, so the red bite marks are usually 1 to 2 centimeters apart. Fleas carry many serious infections that are dangerous to both you and your pets. These include parasitic dermatitis and tapeworm larvae. 8. Gadflies. You know these insects. They look like huge flies and prefer hot and humid climates. Gadflies are attracted to dark moving objects, which means wearing a black t-shirt on a hike makes you a convenient target. Unlike ordinary flies, gadflies bite painfully and drink human blood. First, a small red spot no more than a millimeter wide appears on the skin. Then the bite site swells and begins to itch. These insects carry a variety of diseases, including tularemia and anthrax, but they usually attack livestock, not people. If you are bitten by a horsefly, use an antiseptic spray to clean the wound. If you have symptoms of an allergic reaction, such as severe pain or breathing problems, be sure to see your doctor. 9. Lice. If small red dots that look like a rash suddenly appear on your head, the back of your neck, and behind your ears, this means that you have head lice. If you find similar dots in your groin area, it's the work of pubic lice. What about bites on other parts of the body, like the back, abdomen, hands, or feet? You've been attacked by lice. The red dots are located inches apart and the skin looks as if it has been punctured. Lice carry very serious diseases, including relapsing fever and typhoid fever. In this case, prevention is very important. To avoid lice, keep yourself and your home clean and wash your clothes regularly. 10. Bedbugs. At first glance, bedbug bites look like the marks of flea or mosquito attacks or like an allergic rash. The skin around the wounds becomes red and swollen, and begins to itch. However, there is a sure way to recognize a bedbug autograph. The bites of these insects are very close together and look like tiny dotted lines on the skin. They are more painful than mosquito bites and often occur in the morning as bedbugs go out hunting at night. Friends, do you have any tips on how to recognize, treat and prevent insect bites? Tell us about it in the comments. I also recommend watching my other video about parasites living in our bodies and how you can get rid of them. Thank you for your likes, comments, and subscriptions. You will find a lot more useful information below the video. All the best to you.